Hi, my name is Peyton Bambauer, and welcome to my TED Talk. Today we're going to be thinking about how to think better, more independently, more efficiently, more effectively. There are a few things that you need to do in order to improve your thought process. The first step in this process is to embrace a mindset of creativity. Um, so creativity is something that we're all born with, but we are educated out of it through the school system. So good thing for us is that in order to embrace a mindset of creativity, it's not so much a matter of reinventing ourselves, but more of rediscovering what we once were. Um, and so you think like, why, if something is so important, why would we be educated out of it? If this is so important. So at the end, we're gonna circle back and investigate that a little bit. Second thing, so this is something that goes hand in hand with creativity, and this is curiosity. The idea of looking at things around you, questioning them, and it's also the idea that sometimes the best thoughts aren't always solutions to problems, but they're just new questions, questions that other people might be able to answer. I was watching an HBO documentary the other week about Albert Einstein and Arthur Eddington, and I was sitting down to write this TED Talk, and I thought how well it applied. So Einstein, everybody knows Einstein, but he was an idea man. He was a theorist. He was kind of away from the practical world. And he had this theory, the theory of relativity, which, if it was right, it would prove Isaac Newton's theory of gravity wrong, which is a huge deal. It's our entire basis of understanding of the world is based upon gravity. So Einstein had these ideas. He thought gravity was different than Newton, but he really had no way to prove it. And Eddington, he was an English measuring man, as he was referred to in this HBO documentary. He found a way to test and prove Einstein's hypothesis about gravity. He ended up taking a picture of the sun during a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, and he proved that the sun bent light beams, which, long story short, proved Einstein right. And so you get from a weird guy in Bavaria, southern Germany, asking questions, you prove Isaac Newton wrong. So just by asking the right questions, maybe somebody else could solve them. So that's why curiosity is so important. And people who are curious about something retain info on that subject. And that remembrance is the first level of higher thinking, according to psychologist Benjamin Bloom. The highest level of thinking is creation. So you work your way up from understanding, a couple more steps. Eventually, you get to creation. To create a product that people find both useful and that they enjoy using, you have to incorporate both curiosity and creativity. You have to think of a problem, and then you have to come up with a solution to solve it. So you have to ask yourself, what sucks for me? Does this suck for other people? And is there a scalable way to solve this problem? Oftentimes, when you create a product that is novel and useful, it requires you to be divergent, to know your comfort zone, and to willingly venture outside of it. I was listening to some music the other day, and there's an artist named Mike Posner. He's kind of a refined American rapper who reinvented himself, and he has a song that he just put out called Noah's Ark, and it's about he's walking across America, kind of just on a journey of self-exploration. He's trying to find himself, and a quote that jumped out at me that I thought related to divergence was, I don't know how I'm going to walk across this country, but I do know I'm going to figure it out. So Mike Posner, he clearly wasn't comfortable walking across the country. He didn't know how he'd make it, but he knew that by putting himself outside of his comfort zone and by pushing his boundaries, he would learn about himself. Another quote from that song and this relates to failure, it goes 3 words: growth over consistency. So I thought that this related to failure and its connection to success. Um, nobody's path to success is a straight sloping line. It's filled with valleys and peaks, but over time, with little successes and little failures and lessons learned along the way, eventually you reach success. So I think part of the value of failure is that it helps you understand and appreciate the process of failing and learning from your mistakes and eventually succeeding. One example of me failing recently was this past weekend. I went to the University of Dayton for Parents Weekend, and my original idea for Project One was to kind of go around and ask people about creativity, curiosity. I didn't know where I was going to go with it, but I thought it'd be kind of funny because you'd have all these people on Parents Weekend. Long story short, I go up, I ask them, hey, would you like to be filmed? Ask you a couple easy questions, softball stuff. And I asked like 5 or 6 people, everybody shut me down. And instead of learning from my mistakes and maybe asking them, hey, why don't you want to be filmed? What can I do to fix this? I just kind of got embarrassed and walked off with my tail between my legs. So that was an example of me failing, but not learning, taking lessons learned from my mistakes. I think that part of the challenge with that, what happened to me at UD, was that I was very unprepared for the little street interviews because I myself didn't really know where they were going to go, what exact questions I was going to ask. It was kind of this idea of not knowing what was going to happen, kind of the idea of ambiguity, and that was part of the whole challenge of Project One, was that you're left to your own devices. You have no real clear objective, and you just kind of have to take an idea and run with it. One idea, or one example of when I was faced with an ambiguous situation, when I failed miserably, and when I learned an important lesson from it, was my senior year in high school. I was a member of our rally committee, and every time we would play our rival school in football, we would have a big pep rally on Friday before the game, and there'd be the rally committee would do a skit video, and it would play up in the gym. And so in years past, we did the videos, and there was a guy that just was comfortable editing videos, was good at it. He always took care of it. He graduated, so our senior year rolls around, and nobody knows how to edit videos well, but I had extremely limited experience, and I said, you know what, I'll do it. I didn't know how exactly I was going to do it, but I figured, you know what, I'll just accept the responsibility now, and then I'll figure it out later. We'll learn as we go. Anyways, I got maybe 10 hours of sleep the week before, just working so hard on this thing, and it was terrible. You couldn't hear it in the gym. The transitions were awful. It was miserable. So that was terrible. But I learned, and the next time around we had videos. I had some friends that had taken video editing courses, and they were more than happy to edit the videos for me. And so we got it all taken care of. But to begin with, the video was very ambiguous. I had total control over where it went, which was probably not a good idea. I failed miserably, but I learned, and next time around, it was better. So I said at the beginning that we would circle back at the end to the idea of creativity, and if it is so important, why is it not emphasized in the public school system? Seems like something that should be important. And so I did some digging, I did some thinking, and I came to the conclusion that the creative thinking process and critical thinking are not taught in schools because teachers just don't want to. It's because that's not how schools are designed, in my opinion. So schools are jammed like year-round curriculum. It's tough. Teachers are always saying, oh, I'm 2 weeks behind. We got to fit all this stuff in. So they don't have time to teach, to go out of their way to teach creative thinking skills. And you'd say, well, whoever's designing the curriculum, why would they do it like this? That doesn't make any sense. And I think the answer is that the goal of public education in America is not to create the Einsteins of tomorrow who ask these great questions. It's to create good, law-abiding citizens. So I just thought that was interesting. But luckily, despite not being emphasized in school, a creative mindset can help you think better by adopting the principles of creativity, curiosity, divergence, ambiguity, and learning from failure. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Have a great rest of your day.